Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at this barn find 1970 Chevelle. We believe it's an SS 396, but what is it? There's some interesting things about this car that don't add up very well. Let's check it out. This car has been purchased for a restoration. It was a barn find. It's been saved, and was once a street machine from what we were told. It is a 70 Chevelle. It does have an SS rear bumper on it. Has the SS grill in the trunk. It was busted. And the SS 396 emblems are on the car. The things that are kind of interesting about this car is what it may have had for a 396. Now, in 1970, there were two 396s that were available. The first one was the L34 350 horse, and the second one was the L78 375 horse 396, which was ridiculously underrated at 375 horsepower. Now, that one had 11 to 1 compression. It had solid lifter camshaft, rectangular port heads, or square port heads as some people call them, and high-rise intake, aluminum intake made by Winters Foundry, and a Holley 780 carburetor. This car also was a stick shift, as we can see. It's also a bench seat, right? Bench seat, black vinyl interior, as the trim tag says that. 755 bench seat. 45 means mist green, or green mist, or whatever. It's a light green, which is the car's color. And it's a stick shift car, as you can see. It's got the clutch pedal. It says disc brakes on the pedal, which is interesting because it doesn't have disc brakes on the front anymore. It does have a 4-speed hump in it. Now, what makes us think it might have been an L78 396? Oh, I also like it's got the rosewood wheel. Well, there's a few things that kind of give it away. It might be an L78. First of all, there's a lack of air conditioning, which doesn't really tell you much because there were far more cars without air conditioning in 1970 than there were. It was still an expensive option. As you can see, it's got drum brakes on it now, which is odd because the brake pedal says disc brakes. Okay, well, I know a lot of old-time drag racers back then. They thought disc brakes dragged and slowed them down. So they liked the drum brakes, and they liked to back the shoes off, so they would freewheel, and they'd have to triple and double pump them to get their car to stop. That was a common deal for guys in the 70s to drag race. So I've even seen LS6 Chevelles missing the disc brakes. So that doesn't really tell us much. But this car has a tachometer in it, and that is a dead giveaway. You know, obviously the build sheet's gone along with the floors and the trunk pan, but look where the red line is. The red line is 6,500 RPM. There's only one engine in 1970 that was rated at 6,500 RPM, and that was the L78. This one also has a Super Sport gauge cluster with the full gauges, amps, temp. It doesn't have an oil, clock. Oh, it's a fuel tank. I'm sorry. That's fuel gauge. I'm sorry. Yeah, it doesn't have an oil pressure gauge, which I always thought was weird on these. There's the 4th tunnel, which looks different from other 4-speed tunnels that I've seen. The other thing about the 4-speed is not a 3-speed on the column. As you can see here, there's no indication that it ever had a 3-speed on the column. That was converted to the floor. Is the speedometer cable length. Now, it's kind of wedged in here between the A-arm right now, but look how long it is. Now it only would have to reach, if it was an automatic, it would only have to reach down here, all right, about there where the transmission hole is. If it was a Saginaw 4-speed, that's all the farther it would go. If it was a 3-speed, it'd be the same thing. Now the only transmissions that were available in 1970 were the passenger side speedometer cable, which would give you a long speedometer cable like this one, are the Muncies. There are 3 different available Muncies, the M20, M21, M22. Which one of those things one had, does anybody guess at this point? Now this is something strange going on underneath the rear end. Let's take a look at that. It does not have a 10-hole bolt rear end in it, but it does still have the original factory style spiral shocks. It also does not have a rear spoiler, a rear sway bar. I don't know if that was standard equipment, but it's pretty interesting. So, was this swapped out? People were drag racing, they were breaking a lot of stuff. I found an extra set of clutch pedals in here, clutch pedal and brake pedal. That does not say disc brakes on it, which is interesting. There's this front sway bar in the trunk. There's this emblem here, which I believe is off. This is off a truck. There's a upper clutch rod right there. There's the upper clutch rod. We don't want to lose that. What else? A clutch fork, which is the correct one for, yeah, kicks forward. That's the correct. That looks like a front bumper bracket, I think. Oh, here's an alternator bracket. Alternator bracket with an engine bracket attached to it, a lift plate. That's correct. We'll have to look at that. Yeah, hood hinges. Here's another alternator bracket, upper alternator bracket. Look at that, we have 3 headlight eyebrows in here, all the same color, which is interesting. 4, there's another one. There's a valance that goes, or a bumper filler piece. There's the front grille support. Interesting. Horn. I see a horn underneath there. Which is fascinating about this car is that there's no signs of it ever had SS stripes on it. Just because it was a super sport does not mean you have to have stripes. It also doesn't mean you're going to get the cowl induction hood with the cowl piece, the cowl flapper. I don't see any sign that this car was a striped car. The trunk lid's inside. Maybe we'll take a look at that. There is the radiator supports for the car. I don't know if there's a difference in radiator supports between the engines. Somebody might want to chime on that. What I love about finding old cars like this is it's 56 years old and it's lived a life. It may have sat around for a long time, but it's lived a life. And it's kind of a mystery to find out what it was, isn't it? And what had happened to it over the years? Why did it get parked? If this was originally an automatic car, there would be a bracket right here. that went up over the top, and what it did is it held the neutral safety, or not the kick down for the Turbo 400, if it was a Turbo 400 car, because those were electric. And it doesn't have that. It does still have the neutral safety switch on the clutch pedal. Can you see it there? This, I believe, is the wire for the backup light switch. There is a neutral safety switch or something on the column itself, which is odd. So this is kind of an odd car, isn't it? Malibu's had a trim that ran along there all the way down the fender, and it obviously doesn't show any holes for that. Neither does this fender over here. See, no holes. We do have the other fenders. Here's the driver's side fender. It says SS 396 on it as well. We also got another front left fender there. Interesting. Well, that's that's the right front fender with the battery trays on it. What does this have on it? Oh, let's see what we got here. Look at that. What is that? Shall we get another Mr. Green front fender? This is the heater control valve. Wow, the battery tray isn't rusted completely out. I can actually reuse that. There's where the battery ground was at. So what do you think? Do you think this is a legit L78 396 Chevelle SS? Or we got something else here? It's definitely not a Malibu. There are no trim holes in the fenders. You tell me. Is this an SS 396 or is it something else? If you know more about these cars than I do, speak up, because I don't claim to be an expert.